It's Emmanuel with Bothersome Truth, and this is a response video in part with Daniel about the Hillary versus Trump debate. Woo! That was a doozy. So just to tell you, we are uploading our pre-debate analysis. That's the analysis that we made before the debates actually began, which we provide constructive criticisms as well as suggestions for what both candidates need to do in order to be successful in the upcoming debate. And surely enough, Hillary did a lot of those things. Donald did not do a lot of those things. So he was a lot less successful than he should have been, quite honestly. So let's go ahead and go into the debate itself. I'm going to be, of course, doing a lot more extensive analysis of it when I get home and I have my camera equipment and everything. I'm just on the way somewhere. But with this debate, the theme of this debate, in my opinion, is style versus substance. Stylistically, Hillary Clinton was by far the better candidate, and she performed much better than Donald Trump did. She was much more composed. She actually came out the gate swinging, or she came out of the corner swinging at the very beginning of the debate, because she was very aggressive with doing her sly sort of. Did you guys feel any shade in the room? There was a lot of shade thrown by Hillary Clinton at the very beginning of the debate, in a very underhanded, backhanded way. And I think that's sort of what led to Donald Trump getting overall restless and aggressive towards the middle of the debate. So let's talk about Donald Trump and where he was. Let's go into where Hillary Clinton was proficient and where Donald Trump was proficient. So Hillary Clinton was very good at providing those sort of subversive attacks, those underhanded remarks, referencing his father and referencing his failures in business, interlacing them and intertwining them in her overall answers. And of course, that was a very thoughtful and methodical thing to do, and it was what she needed to do in order to launch attacks while remaining perceived as the more well-composed person or candidate. Donald Trump, I believe, when it pertains to the majority of the substantive comments that he made, he was right on the money with his analysis of many of the problems that America deals with pertaining to trade or trade deficits. All of those things are actually true. When it pertains to our debt, yes, we do have a $20 trillion debt problem, and that has to be solved, and quite honestly won't be solved. It's going to be solved by just breaking the system eventually. But yes, he did prove himself to be astute in that category. Won't go into problems yet, but he did prove himself to be astute in that category. If you actually look at the individual statements Trump made, individually, the statements were true statements. He said a few comments about Hillary Clinton's past. He kept trying to make connections between Hillary Clinton's inconsistencies. That's what he needed to do. And at the beginning, at least, he was very well composed. So let's go into the negatives just briefly, all right? For Hillary Clinton, she proves to struggle with remaining consistent. And for liberals who know Hillary Clinton's policies, for liberals who know where she stands on specific issues pertaining to the banks, pertaining to healthcare, pertaining to the private prisons, for people who know who her donors are, much of what she said does look and sound like doublespeak. And of course, the Hillary Clinton that we got tonight was not a liberal Hillary Clinton. It was not a progressive Hillary Clinton. It was a moderate, center-right Hillary Clinton, if not right Republican. And the problem with that is she needs to court liberal voters. She needs to tell liberal voters why they should vote for her, and she needs to provide an alternative to Donald Trump. But on the other hand, what they did manage to accomplish is making Donald Trump appear scary enough so that liberal voters will think twice about not voting for Hillary Clinton. So let's go into that. Donald Trump lost his cool. After, I think, she made comments in reference to his father, I think after her comments about his business practices, and her, as the debate progressed, becoming more and more outspoken and blatant about her attacks, I think it put Donald in a very defensive posture. He didn't need to defend against the statements. He really didn't. But his ego manifested itself and became his primary concern. And because of that, I think he really lost himself in the debate, because he started rambling, he started ranting, he started becoming very incoherent. Incoherence is the theme of Donald Trump in that debate. And that, my friends, is what makes Donald Trump look inept in comparison to Hillary Clinton in that particular debate. It's not necessarily that Hillary Clinton made more truthful statements, even though she self-ordained her website fact checkers, which is pretty ironic. But it's that he was unable to articulate his beliefs, his positions, his stances, his facts without getting flustered and, going down this sort of rabbit hole of incoherence. Every single time the moderators gave him a question, we're going to go into the specifics of these questions, he started losing himself. He would change subjects. He would jump from line to line. It seemed as if he wanted to make attacks against her, but instead of making deliberate and understandable attacks, he sort of conflated a bunch of different topics, and it just made him sound like he didn't know what he was talking about. But when in actuality, yes, what he was saying was true. He was just saying so many different things that we didn't understand what he was saying, unless you really, really closely follow politics. But if I were someone who was just a casual voter, we should all be casual voters, but if I were someone who doesn't really pay close attention to politics, right, and I just wanted to get the opportunity to hear the two out, in order to make my decision going forward, I don't see how anyone, based on that debate, can cast a vote for Donald Trump, because that was bad. That looked like a train wreck. So what he needs to do is they need to get into a room, and someone needs to teach him the art of debate. Someone needs to reel him in, and they need to follow the recommendations that Daniel and I gave Trump, which is simply, look, just remain composed, remain civil, because ultimately the only thing Hillary can do in order to defeat you is to inspire voters to vote against you, because no one wants to vote for her. But when you go out there and you're constantly interrupting her, at first, my wife is the one who really pointed it out to me, and at first I thought, okay, no, he's just treating her like he would any other candidate, and then no, it started getting incessant. Like, he started interrupting almost every single statement she made. When you're doing that, and then you're being combative with the moderator, even though the moderator was being very biased in that debate, if I were to be honest, and we'll talk about why. Because all of the questions were pointed. Even if all of those things exist and are true, you gotta be composed, because you come off looking like an irrational, scary person, which you definitely proved to be at that debate. It's bothersome truth.